You want to know how to best manage your difficult relationship? I'm here to tell you. I'm Shauna, just a human in Los Angeles, here to help you pick up the pieces after your breakup. First things first, let me be super clear, and I learned this the hard way. A relationship, particularly a romantic relationship, but really any relationship, is not something that is meant to be managed, okay? It's something that's meant to be cherished and nurtured. A relationship, and again, especially a romantic relationship, is something that is meant to nurture you, nurture your soul, and nurture you as a human being for the best of who you are as a beautiful human on this earth. And if it's anything less than that, you may be tuning in today to find out, well, how do I manage it? Okay. Well, let me say this. A few months after my breakup with my toxic ex, and months had gone by, I had been working on myself for so long and so hard. I saw someone for dinner who I hadn't seen in a long time. I thought I was okay, or at least okay enough to fool someone into thinking I was okay. The dinner, quite honestly, I thought was lovely, and the night ended well. But the next morning, I got a text from this guy who I had had the dinner with, and he said he was concerned and that he wanted to know where Shauna was because all he saw when I was there in front of him was a shell of who I had been. He didn't know anything about my breakup. I didn't tell him anything about it at all. He didn't know I was struggling with anything, and yet it was so obvious to him that I was not there at the table for the whole evening. He was looking at an empty shell. Now, I know this is going to sound weird, but have you ever had like a zit so large that you couldn't even see it? I have one right now on my chin. I hope you can't see it. And if you can't, it's because it's like the size of my whole chin. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because a zit this large that it just blends right in is like a toxic relationship. The problem or the problems of the relationship are so overwhelming that you spend all your time and all of your energy trying to fix it. And in the process, the toxicity basically takes over your entire life. And you don't even realize that you're in a problem anymore. All you know is that you want it to be better. All you know is you think that if you can be better, the relationship can be better. All you know is you want to fix this. Probably because you're caught up in some memories of the past, keeping in mind that the past does not exist. It did exist, but it does not exist. And all that matters when you're talking about a relationship is the present. And speaking of presence, A, you need to be present in your relationship. And B, relationships are presents. They're gifts. And if your relationship feels like anything less, I'm just going to ask flat out, why are you in it? It's a hard question to answer. Believe me, I was there, but why are you in it? With me and my relationship, I was always walking on eggshells, waiting for the other shoe to drop, and any other metaphors that you can think of. So it was like every word, every action was deliberate and premeditated and measured. there was nothing of myself. I could not be myself, because if I were myself, there was the chance that I was going to set him off. And that's something I just became so afraid of. Like a child who just wants to avoid punishment at all costs. Anything I could do to just make myself smaller, to make my presence less present, seemed like the way that I could manage this relationship. Honestly, my life had become a struggle for neutrality. Not even positivity, just a struggle for neutrality in this relationship that was just completely and utterly suffocating me. There's no other word for it. It was suffocating me with negativity and abuse. And by the way, those scars take a long time to heal. And while I was in this relationship, for every person who told me the longer you stay in it, the harder it's going to be to get over it, I still could not extract myself from it. And I'm not going to lie, to this day, I still think about it. I still think about the relationship and was I the best of who I could be, and could I have saved it? And believe me, these are normal feelings. But that day where I got that text saying, "Where's Shauna?" I didn't see her at the table with me. That day I woke up from a trance that I had been in for month after month after painful month, and realized I needed to change. I had no choice. If I wanted to live a life worth living, I needed to change. I needed to reclaim my life. I needed to reclaim myself. I know it was going to be hard work. It already been hard work. It's not even that I hadn't been working on myself. You've been watching this channel, and this is all about my working on myself, a lot of it in real time. But the work I was doing wasn't working. I had to go deeper to save myself and to save my soul. Listen, we have thoughts and we have feelings, right? When you're in a toxic relationship, and especially if you had a breakup or you're deciding if it's time to break up, the rational and logical decisions don't always feel good. In fact, they could feel downright terrible, horrific even, right? Because your mind, it knows. It knows. Your heart is where things get blurry. It's where things get confusing, where the love that you have for someone or the care that you have for someone can overshadow the objectivity, the reality of what you're experiencing. And whatever it is that is holding you, connecting you to this person, if it was a toxic relationship, this is emotion. It is not reality. Period. The rational mind knows that it needs to escape from danger, not just try to neutralize it. So a big test is when you look at the relationship that you had or have, were there facts that you've been hiding from your friends and family to either protect your ex or hopefully your soon-to-be ex? Or are you able to just tell them everything exactly the way it is without bringing shame on yourself or bringing shame onto your partner? So the next question is, when you look at your relationship objectively, would you recommend that the people that you love the most in this world, maybe your child, your parent, your best friend, would you recommend that they stay in the relationship that you're in? Now, don't qualify this response. If you're like me, you're going to say something like, well, no, I wouldn't want them in this relationship, but I know XYZ about the relationship, but I know XYZ about my partner, and therefore it's nuanced. It's more complicated than that. Guess what? It's not. If you really want to know, you truly want to know how to manage your difficult, painful, and toxic relationship or breakup most effectively, you leave it and move on.